What's going on, guys? I'm back with another 31 Days of Halloween review, and today we're going to be doing a classic Night of the Living Dead. And right off the bat, all I'm going to say is they should have looked for the ray gun instead of boarding windows, but that's just me. A group of individuals take refuge in an abandoned house when corpses begin to leave the graveyard in search of fresh human bodies to devour. The pragmatic Ben does his best to control the situation, but when the reanimated bodies surround the house, the other survivors begin to panic. As any semblance of order within the group begins to dissipate, the zombies start to find ways inside. One by one, the living humans become prey of the deceased ones. Alright, so right from the jump, this film is the godfather of the zombie mass hysteria genre, where it really set the standard for the basic do and don'ts with zombies. The story is pretty straightforward, wasting little to no time getting into things, where it does a good job opening some questions right out of the gate to keep the audience curious and engaged. No matter what, most films are going to need some sort of exposition at some point, but how George A. Romero expertly handled his by telling it through the news and radio cast is nothing short of brilliant for my money anyways. Most of the times, it gets thrown right in your face from a boring character's monologues, or it's riddled in nearly every scene, but it being told through a radio and TV cast really gives it a new sense of delivery, while also seeming a lot more urgent. It also really helps enhance that creepy and eerie tone the film was going for, by the way they were describing things and what rules to follow. The story does a really good job creating conflict through its dialogue, along with the obvious zombies as well, having some really nice underlying messages about who we are in the heat of battle. One of the cool things I really enjoyed about the story wasn't just that it was simple and leaves room for conversation about how things really got started, but also its remarkable rawness due to the low budget. For me, I thought it really enhanced how gritty things were, from the camera quality to the effects and makeup, and of course, the kills, giving the film tons of personality. Most of the characters were pretty good, although some got more time to shine than others. You have to give credit to the script, but also the actors creating these real genuine pieces of dialogue, especially when it comes to the banter. Each character worked really well off one another, especially Duane Jones as Ben and Carl Hardman as Harry. The tension and banter felt extremely real, like they were really going to kill each other. Individually though, it's no doubt that Duane Jones was the star of the show, where he got all the best moments and lines to work with, being that noble leader that's easy to root for due to his actions. When it comes to the physical action, kills, and special effects during the climax and the ending, I thought it was handled fine for the time, where they did a good job building some pretty decent suspense and tension during the lead up to it all. The effects are of course dated, but you can tell Romero really tried here, where he used such things as like ham or butcher ends that nobody wanted as human parts. I think that's pretty creative if you ask me. Although this film was one of a kind for its time, it certainly doesn't come without a few flaws. My first issue, and probably the biggest one, which is sort of a two-parter, and that's the zombies and the action. As far as the zombies go, they essentially felt like crash dummies. Some of them had a bit of wit, which I also found misplaced, and others had no brains at all, but altogether, they felt rather tame. As for the action, there was certainly some clever bits, but most of it wasn't really handled the best, with some choppy editing and just bad acting all around that really brought things down a notch. My next issue is the plot conveniences and overall silliness of the film at times. Starting from the first act, there's just a bunch of things that don't quite add up, where some things just happen because they need them to, and it only gets worse towards the third act. My next issue was with the pacing. The film starts off really quick, then for some reason seems to have a pretty tough time finding its groove. It went through many speed changes, having some scenes drag and some fly by with ease. And my last issue was with the characters, but more so the females, especially Barbara. I've heard that Romero wanted to make the females a target to the females in horror movie tropes, where they're just mainly useless in these sort of films. In this film, they're either just sitting there doing nothing, or sitting there talking about absolutely nothing. Somehow or another, they're doing nothing. Outside of the girls, none of the characters were really that established, outside of our main lead of course, where it was essentially like 1.5 characters out of 7 that I guess drew attention. Not the greatest ratio for my money. Overall, in today's age, you can certainly poke holes in this film, but it's a cultural phenomenon that kickstarted the zombie genre that loads of people enjoy, so for that, it's still well done. Night of the Living Dead gets a 7 out of 10 for me. Let me know what you think of Night of the Living Dead in the comments below, and let me know what film you'd like to see me review next. See you guys on the next one.